Hi guys, welcome to this video. This is the exam analysis video for CAT 2024. I'm Prashant. I'm the founder of Word Pandit and the Learning Network. I'm bringing this exam analysis from my own perspective and based on the attempt that I had a couple of days back. By this time, you guys would have gone through a heck of a lot of information on CAT 2024, exam analysis, scores, percentiles, tables, charts, what is happening, what was good, what was bad about the exam. So all those thoughts would be flooding your mind. I would rather focus on the things that we could have learned from this exam, things that we can apply further in the exam season, and what is it that we need to take forward. So we'll keep that positive interpretation in mind, and that is how we move ahead. A little bit of scores and trend analysis as well that we'll do in this particular video. Let's get started. First of all, congratulations to all of you who took the exam, who made the effort, went to the center and put yourself through that challenge. That's the most important thing. Irrespective of the results, you should always push yourself to the limits and you should always try to do as well as possible, right? This year's exam had a lot of predictable patterns and a few little surprises around the corner. So let's dig deeper into this particular exam that we had. Let's dig deeper into the things that we can learn from this year's CAT exam, right? First of all, I'll give you my own perspective. This is my personal perspective, something that I wanted to share. So I took CAT after a small little break. I think the small little break extended to a few years. So I started teaching in the year towards the end of 2007. I took a few classes. 2008 was when I formally started teaching, right? The 1st of January 2008 was when I got formally inducted into this industry. So between 2008 and I think 2019 or 17, pre-COVID, I took CAT quite a few times, I think 8 times in that particular duration, right? And after that, post-COVID, I had not really gone to the exam center, taken the exam, kind of had lost that routine of filling up the form, going to the exam centers. One of the reasons for that was in my last 3 attempts for CAT, I was thrown all across the country, right? I was in Bombay for a period of time. I got Pune as a center. When I was in Chandigarh, I got like a center 200 kilometers away. So it kind of became very taxing to take the exam just for the sake of it. Hence, kind of a break came in between my attempts. So I haven't been to an exam hall for a few years. So it was a great experience after all these years, because one thing that happens is all of a sudden you go into the exam center, there is inherently there's this small little competitive element that still exists within me. And I kind of start competing with myself that what can I do? How can I approach this exam in a better way? What is it that I can learn from it? So the brain starts ticking along those lines. Slot 3 was a refreshing challenge. We had VRC with small little nuanced comprehension skills. In fact, a couple of RC tone questions, one question based on hypothetical scenarios, one question effectively had a triple negative in it. So a lot of small little language nuances which was spread over the exam. Remember, I'm a VRC faculty. I train people for VRC, GDPI, VAT, GK. So those things are more attractive to me, but I do love quant and LRDI as well. I'm okay at it. I've cleared cutoffs in the past, but I haven't solved quant questions for the last 16, 17 years now. So VRC, I thoroughly enjoyed against this backdrop, right? Now, with such a background, for someone who's not solved questions for such a long period of time, right? I think I was able to do 7 to 8 questions in each of these sections as well. Don't remember the exact count now. I think I was able to, obviously, solve the full VRC section and had roughly around 40 attempts. So this is, remember, I have not solved since 2008 to 2024. Essentially for 16, 17 years, I haven't solved a single quant or an LRDI question or a set, right? So I haven't touched anything. So considering that, it's like a fairly decent attempt at it, right? And to be honest, I realized that if you can just keep a calm mind, a calm composure, you will be able to solve questions in the exam. This is a learning for people who will be taking the exam the next year, right? So for them, this is a huge learning that even with someone like me who was so rusty, not solved questions, just focused on the basics. I just used basic logic. Essentially, I just picked up all arithmetic questions and solved them through the unitary method, right? and in a very relaxed manner. Then also you're able to solve 7 to 8 questions in each of these sections. So if only you can just push yourself a little, prepare a little better, and stay calm and composed in the exam, you can do very, very well in the exam. So focused preparation, dedicated preparation, and adaptability in the exam, key criteria, and you'll do pretty well in the exam. uh, Observations. Now, these are observations. I took slot 3. I do not have relative information in terms of, because I haven't seen the slot 1 and 2 exam as of now. But talking to a lot of students, the general feel was that slot 1 was easier compared to CAT 2023. Balanced section difficulty. Slot 2 was consistent with slot 1. DILR and VARC were reported to be on the easier side. And slot 3, what students have reported, I'm again saying this, please take it with a pinch of salt, right? According to students, DILR and VARC were a little challenging. So that's the slot wise comparison that has been quoted by students. Now the thing with this is, unless and until we have results, we really can't pass a definitive judgment on this. But this is just something that you can keep in mind and in your perspective. Section-wise observations for CAT 2024. These are very important observations. Parajumbles went missing, right? Nuanced reading comprehension challenges with moderate difficulty. The passages were decent to read, right? But especially in slot 3, I can say that with definitive authority, because I took the exam. I found that as a faculty, it's fine. But as a student, if I think of it from the perspective of a student, there was an element of vocabulary involved in the exam, because a lot of the questions, especially there was one paragraph summary question, which was pretty challenging to read in terms of its vocabulary level. Some of the questions were using advanced words. Then there were a lot of double and triple negatives interspread in the questions, right? Every nook and corner, they tried to make it challenging for you, right? The options were close. 2 options were generally easy to eliminate. 2 options were pretty close, right? So there were all these challenges in the exam. So this is, if you ask me, and going forward, what should be the approach, I'll just write that down in short form. Reading and vocabulary become the core pillars, right? There was also a passage on AI in slot 3, right? Which I absolutely love reading. AI is my favorite topic for 2024. And so you've got to keep a grasp on topics which are in the news, which are circulating. So these are some key learnings, because if you do that, you'll be able to prepare better for the exam. DILR, I think everyone knows by now that the number of questions increased by 2. So it required sharper time management. I think DILR, across the board, across the board, the feedback is the sets were easier than the last couple of years, right? The number of questions increased. A corresponding thing that happened was the difficulty levels of the sets reduced, right? Quant was easier than 2023. I can vouch for this. It was pretty arithmetic heavy, and I enjoyed that, right? For someone who's not solved any questions for 16, 17 years and who does not even remember any single formula, say in geometry or any other area, arithmetic is the way out, right? Use simple unitary method to solve questions, use basic logic, and you kind of get through with the exam. So that is something that definitely happened in the exam. Attempting 30 to 35 questions with 85 to 90% accuracy, right? You can probably, I think you should add 5 more questions here, right? Around 40 questions with a good accuracy, right, should give you a decent score, right? And I believe that these are again personal convictions, that a score above 90 should land you in good places, right? Anything between 90 to 100 should get you good enough calls. So that is something that is going to happen. We put up a detailed score and percentile table on the website, right? So it's given in the links below. So that maps out all the percentiles and all the scores, probable scores. These are generally based on the scores for last year and adjusted for the difficulty level for this year in comparison to the last year. So overall feeling is the paper was slightly easier than last year. So you can expect a little increase in scores, right, from last year. Not huge variation, but you can expect a little increase in scores overall. Lessons from CAT 2024. You need to be adaptable. questions like the omissions or parajumbles. My personal take, I'm really happy that they've taken out this question type from the exam. It's an extremely unreliable question type, very difficult to solve. So the fact that they've taken it out makes it's good news, right? Uh, Quant and LRTI, all you needed to do was manage your time. More than enough easy questions in the exam, right? More than enough easy questions in the exam to solve. So if you manage your time, you would have been able to uh, get through. And a balanced preparation, focusing on the diverse question types, focusing on the fundamentals, right? Focusing on the basics. So if you focus on the basics, you focus on the fundamentals, you would have done well in the exam. So that's what the analysis for this year is. These are the key learnings for this year. I hope you learned a few insights from the exam this year. People preparing for CAT 2025, this video is going to be super helpful for you. So do make sure you go through it. People who took CAT 2024, a kind of reflection, and you can bond with a person who's taken the exam after a few years. So you and I, we are both in the same boat, waiting for our results. I also want to see where do I end up? How do I do in the exam after all these years? So we are kind of in the same boat in terms of our expectations of the result. Thank you very much for watching this video, and this is Prashant signing off with his favorite, my favorite two words, happy learning.